So let's meet our first presenter, Andy Williams, CEO of Medicine Man Technologies, stock symbol MDCL. And Medicine Man is really one of the most exciting companies in the cannabis space. They've been delivering very strong revenue growth organically, and the stock was about $1.50 when we interviewed Andy on the Wall Street Reporter back in December. Hit a high of about $4 recently. And the company has really been delivering on its promises and executing very strongly. Now, Medicine Man has announced some transformative acquisitions, which are positioning this company to be a major player in the cannabis space internationally, with really explosive growth potential. So, here to tell us what's next for Medicine Man Technologies is CEO Andy Williams. Andy, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jack, for the introduction and having us back to update your audience with what we've been doing. And I think they'll see that we've come through with what we said, and we'll give a hint of where we're going to be going. So there could be some listeners out there that aren't overly familiar with the cannabis market. This is a very exciting, burgeoning industry. It's a rare thing indeed to see a market go from an illegal black market to one that's regulated and taxed and legal. And we're seeing this in a global scale right now with cannabis. Global cannabis revenues in 2018 were, I think $12 billion, and they're expected to grow to $146 billion in 2025. So this is, on the ground floor of a growing industry. The U.S. legal cannabis revenues are forecasted to be $80 billion by 2030, and so we'll have the lion's share of that market. And the legal cannabis revenues in 2018 in the U.S. were under $11 billion. So adult use is now legal in 11 states, in the District of Columbia, and of course the medical laws are in 33 states in District of Columbia. This year, something happened in Colorado that has allowed us to implement a strategy that we've been planning for 5 years, and that is the passage of House Bill 191090 in Colorado. This is a bill that I've been working on for more than 3 years myself to get passed and brought into law, and this year we were successful. House Bill 191090 allows out-of-state investment and public company ownership of cannabis companies in Colorado for the first time. Colorado has the oldest and most mature cannabis market in the United States. It's the second largest to California, but certainly the best regulated and most mature in terms of operations, operators, products, and brands. And with House Bill 19, or prior to this year, out-of-state investment was very restricted in Colorado, and also public company ownership was prohibited. This bill changes that. So we are now allowed, with the implementation of this bill in November of this year, allowed to do those things. In Colorado's market alone was 1.5 billion last year, and it's expected to grow to 2.1 billion in 2022. So let me tell you a little bit about our team before I get into the strategy that we are implementing right now. Of course, you have myself. I am an industrial engineer. I have been in many different manufacturing businesses throughout my life and corporations, and started this along with my brother. We started Medicine Man anyway in 2009. So we've been part of this Colorado cannabis industry from the very start, and have worked with other people in the industry to protect it and grow it, and to form it in what it is today. We have Joe Pugliese as our Chief Operating Officer, a 20-year media veteran, and has had a lot of experience in managing and growing companies, and as well as private equity. Joshua Haupt is our Chief Cultivation Officer, and a quick Google of Josh will show you the respect he has throughout the industry. Has been commonly referred to as the Steve Jobs of cultivators, the Steve Jobs of cannabis cultivators. He wrote a book called 3-Alite that has revolutionized the art of growing cannabis. And he is a dynamic person to have on the team for the leadership he provides and the efficiencies that we get from his methodologies and practices. Todd Williams, we recently brought on right after our Dye Capital investment, which we'll talk about later. Todd has 24 plus years of consulting and strategy, asset valuation, M&A experience. He was an integral part of the Albertsons leadership team that took that, from 600 stores to 2,600 stores. They did about $40 billion in acquisitions and divestitures and integrations during that time. And what you'll see as part of our vision is an acquisition strategy for the state of Colorado to become a leading regional player. And one of the key pieces that we needed on the team was somebody that had the experience to integrate multiple acquisitions seamlessly. And Todd is part of the team that brings that, as well as bringing a lot of vision for our company for the future. Lee Dayton, an investment banker. He was a VP of Business Development and Strategy at Albertsons. A phenomenal person that brings a wealth of experience and is right now our Chief Administration Officer and helping to set up the infrastructure that we're going to need for the explosive growth that we're going through. Dye Capital, I mentioned that we recently partnered with an investment company. We looked for a long time, so our strategy of this acquisition and becoming a regional leader here in Colorado, we needed a couple things. We needed that integration piece, the experience for large-scale integrations, and then we also needed capital to do it. And we went on a long hunt for capital, and we're very fortunate to find Dye Capital, led by Justin Dye. Justin was a leader in the acquisition of Albertsons when it was a small company. They grew it from $10 billion to over $60 billion. And I already mentioned the store growth that they had. And he has a track record of winning, a track record of accomplishment and experience in growing a company profitably and efficiently, effectively, and successfully. And so Justin not only invested in our company, he increased that investment because he believes in what we're doing, and also became chairman of our board of directors. Leo Riera, a phenomenal addition to our team. He has over 30 years experience in investment banking and fund management. He was the head of the Bankers Trust of Venezuela, and his resume is actually very long. He is also a member of our board, and he is also the chairman of the board of our Colombian operations. Nirup has over 25 years experience in innovation technology and restructuring and M&A in Fortune 500 companies. He was the chief information officer of United Airlines, and he was part of the management team that undertook one of the largest turnaround restructurings in corporate America. He's a brilliant man and is helping us to set up the infrastructure in terms of IT and software that we'll need for the growth of our company. Medicine Technologies, up until this year, it was founded in 2014 by myself and a gentleman named Brett Roper. Started as a consulting company in the cannabis space, helping people that had the money, desire, business acumen, and wanted to get into the industry but didn't have the know-how. We provided that know-how. We've expanded our service lines to include many others. We also have expanded the company to include other revenue streams from products in the industry, such as Success Nutrients, which is the best marijuana nutrient product on the market, and Big Tomato, which is a supply company for cultivators that supplies everything they need in order to grow marijuana. We have had well over 100 clients now. We've worked in 20 states and 7 countries in Puerto Rico. And what's really nice about having this consulting company as part of our portfolio is we get to develop expertise in a state, not only on the regulatory structure, but how the state works, what's important to be successful in each state. We develop a reputation as well as connections within that state. It's a great front runner for what I'm about to describe as we become one of the regional leaders here in Colorado, and then we can expand out to the rest of the country and the world from there. So we have announced 6 acquisitions so far in Colorado in different segments of the vertical of cannabis. And there will be more announcements in the near future, and you will see the strategy start developing. First, I'll talk about the strategy. So to be a leader in a region, we do need to be vertically integrated, and we have to not be at the whims of a supplier. And so you want to focus on supply, so the raw supply of cannabis. Make sure you have sufficient supply in order to meet your needs. We have to focus on extraction and manufacturing, so taking those cannabinoids out of the plant and formulating and creating products from them that the market enjoys. We have to focus on dispensary operations, not only having dispensary operations, but have a presence throughout the state. And at Medicine Man Technologies, we're also focused on research. So a company that we're purchasing is the only research licensee tied to a cannabis license that's active in the United States. And so the intellectual property they're developing there is going to be great because it's helping people around the world, but it's also going to be great for the company. And this slide shows, some of these acquisitions. In dispensary operations, we have Medicine Man now, which has 4 dispensaries. We have Purple Bees, which also has 2 dispensaries. In extraction and manufacturing, and I'll go into some of the products and whatnot in a little bit, but in extraction manufacturing, we have MedFarm Holdings. It's very focused on pharma products. So not only does MedFarm do research, but it also supplies products to dispensaries today. And they're focused on the pharma line of products like tinctures and creams and pills and things like that. Dabble Extracts, the most recent announced acquisition, is a leader in concentrates of shatters and waxes. They have a proprietary process they have to make their products and have won multiple awards for what they've done. And we believe we can add a lot of value to Dabble to expand that business. Purple Bees. Purple Bees is another extractor and manufacturer. Not only do they have a tremendous amount of capacity for extraction that will be able to handle the production that we're going to be putting out from our cultivators, they also do white labeling for some of the leaders in Colorado for their products and make some of their products of their own. Cultivation, we have multiple, everything from outdoor, greenhouse, as well as indoor cultivation. Medicine Man, Los Sueños Farms. So Los Sueños Farms, so Medicine Man is an indoor grow. Los Sueños Farms is outdoor and greenhouse, led by Bob DeGabriel, one of a great pioneer in the industry. He is the largest producer of marijuana in North America today. He'll produce about 75,000 pounds of marijuana himself. MedFarm Holdings also has its own cultivation. Their facility is GMP certified, and of course that will go along with the research and an important need there. Green Equity SAS is our Colombia holding, which we are fully licensed in Colombia from cultivation, extraction, formulation, dosage form creation, selling within the country, research, and export to countries that allow it. So that is our Colombian operation. And research and development, we can do it both at MedFarm and Green Equity. So first, let's talk about one of the pioneers that we're bringing on board, and that's Future Vision, or Medicine Man. Sally Vanderveer is head of that company, and it is a company that I founded. It's a leader in cultivation and retail. Has won multiple awards, and not just for the facilities and how they take care of customers, but also being industry leaders. And it's about a 40,000 square foot facility. MedFarm is licensed in both medical and recreational, as well as research. It's driving innovation with a pharma background. The lead formulations gentleman is a 35-year compound pharmacist with a lot of patents under his belt. We have a PhD chemist there, many other chemists, and the work they're doing is really groundbreaking. They have multiple brands, some of which are leading in Colorado, such as Alleviar. Alleviar is a tincture. It's the #1 tincture in Colorado. They have creams, they have vaporizers and pills, and some very unique dosage forms that have never been seen. We do have a licensee in Iowa. We're looking to expand in Pennsylvania with research, as well as Columbia. MedPharm is revenue positive. In 2019, they actually opened their doors in November of 2017 and sold their first product in March of 2018. So this company is on a steep increase in terms of revenue and profitability. Los Sueños, I talked a little bit about, largest outdoor and greenhouse producer in North America. Mason Organics, or Purple Bees. The important thing about getting these two acquisitions together is while Bob DeGabriel and Los Sueños produces a tremendous amount of cannabis, you have to be able to do something with it. And Purple Bees offers the capability with its extraction capacity to be able to extract 100% and then some of what Los Sueños grows and make products out of it in many different product lines. Dabble, we talked about. Dabble's the award-winning concentrate company. They've had awards and first place for Shatter and People's Choice and the best tested at the THC Championship and many others. Josh Hindy and this team, pioneers in this area, have been working in the cannabis industry for 10 years as well, bring a proprietary process for creating these concentrates. And all of these products and brands and processes are portable. We can take them wherever we go. It's very valuable. As a company, we are growing dramatically. Last year, our revenue came from professional services, products, and licensing agreements. And we generated $9.4 million of annual sales with a $2.2 million EBITDA. And you can see on this chart, Medicine Man Technologies is at the bottom. And this compares Medicine Man Technologies against many different MSOs. And while Medicine Man Technologies was not an MSO last year, and you can see that by the multiplier, the sales multiplier of Medicine Man Technologies, we have a market cap of about $90 million right now. You're looking at about a 10 times multiplier. When you look at MSOs that are trading right now, Acreage and Apothecary and Tilray, et cetera, you're looking at the sales multiple of anywhere from 49 to 308. And while I agree those are a bit ridiculous, as Medicine Man Technologies is transitioning from a product and professional services company in the cannabis space to predominantly a leading regional operator in cannabis in the United States, with the ability to expand with a tremendous amount of assets and a group of pioneers that are coming together to form a much larger company to be able to compete in this maturing market. And that's what Medicine Man Technologies is doing right now. I think you can see the upside for somebody who believes in what we're doing, has heard us over the last year telling this story, coming back time and again saying, we said we were going to do this, we did that, and now we're going to do this. And watching us grow as a company and seeing us be successful. We are in a unique position right now where we no longer have to wait for legislation to be passed. We no longer have to wait for regulations to be promulgated. That's all done. Our success is only limited by our ability to execute. And with the team we've assembled, I know we can execute. We've been executing for 10 years in the tightest market. All of these operators have. They've executed for 10 years. They've been successful on shoestring budgets, and they've made profits, and we're going to continue to do so. And so I encourage you to take a position in Medicine Man Technologies, and short of that, put us on your watch list. I think you're going to like what you see. Thank you very much for joining, and I think we'll move to questions now.
Okay. Yeah, Andy, that was great. As you know, I'm sure most investors will find that last slide where you show the comps, very compelling. So let's open it up to questions. Anybody can send in their questions right now.
Where do I see it?
Came in last night from attendee. Okay, so Mark asks the criteria Medicine Man Technologies looks for in prospective acquisitions. How may this vary in various markets? Question mark.
Great.
And then dilution? Question mark.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. Let me start with a general strategy in terms of accretion and dilution, and then we'll talk about Colorado and other markets quickly. So when we're looking at acquiring, I look at all of these other MSOs and the prices they're paying for what I consider to be relatively small operations. It's just ridiculous. In Colorado right now, private companies will sell from anywhere from 0.8 times gross revenue to 1.5 times gross revenue. And so unless it's a special circumstance, I don't see a need to pay beyond that. And paying these stupid prices for the assets that are being purchased and acquired by these other MSOs, I think is a losing strategy. So we're very careful about the value we pay to make sure the accretion of the company outweighs the dilution in short order. In Colorado, the strategy we're looking at is one supply. I think I've talked about that, having supply in all levels of the market, from outdoor, greenhouse, indoor, and being able to not only supply ourselves, but be able to support some white label and other things that we want to do. In terms of manufactured products, so extraction processes, you need different types of extraction. So we wanted expertise and leading expertise in CO2 and hydrocarbon and ethyl acetate or other forms of extraction, and because they're different products are developed from that. So not only do we look at capability and capacity, but we also look at brands. So if you look at the edibles and concentrate market and see a pinwheel of all the market segments, we went to each market segment in Colorado and said, okay, which are the best products that are out there right now, the best selling, and we tried to target people that had those leadership positions. Keep in mind, these are people I know. I've been working with them for 10 years, and so. But we look at those market segments. We look at people that are leading those. We try to get leaders in that already. If not, do we have a plan that we can develop a product that we think we can lead with in that market segment? But we want the 80% rule, the 80-20, in terms of the largest different products in that pinwheel of market segments, and that's what we targeted. And in terms of retail, we're looking at a good dispersion of retail outlets around Colorado, with a concentration in the largest markets of Colorado. And that's important because you want your brand to be able to be sought after in any part of the state. And even in Colorado, it's very important because at the beginning of 2021, delivery will become possible, and it's going to be have some tighter rules on it where someone has to buy directly from a specific dispensary. And so having outlets around the state will enable us to be a leading participant in that market as well. In other states, let's take California, for instance, and my thoughts on California right now. Right now, the regulatory system is in place, but is not being enforced very well. I know they're beginning enforcement, but until such a time that enforcement has taken hold and every operator in California is following the regulations and paying taxes and doing compliance, it's very difficult to compete on the retail front if you're following all those rules and somebody right down the street is not. And so retail is not something I'm looking at in California right now. Cultivation, even though the prices in California right now are pretty good, when this becomes legal, or not legal, when this becomes more mature in California in terms of people that are participating in the legal market, the supply in California is going to be the largest in the United States, and the price will soon drop to the point that it's a commodity, and really spending millions of dollars on infrastructure in order to cultivate there, I don't think is a good long-term investment. In terms of manufacturing, I think that's a great place to start in California. Having that facility where we can extract and make products with all the brands that we're going to have under our control, that are tried and true and proven. I I think is a great place to start, because we can manufacture there, distribute to all the dispensaries in California that are legal, and I think do very well. So that's the kind of thought that is put into a state-by-state basis. But right now, we are completely focused on Colorado, and we're going to stay that way until we get this complete.
Okay, Andy, we're running a little bit short on time, but I have 3 questions here. One question, again, from last night. Then we have 2 questions from the live audience. So Alejandro asks, what do you see as the biggest challenges your company might face, as well as the industry as a whole in the next year?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you, Alejandro. The biggest challenges that we'll face in the industry as a whole, one is at the federal level. Normalizing this industry. There's 2 bills going through right now. We have the States Act and we have the Safe Banking Act, both of which have a possibility of passing this year. If it does, if those bills pass, one, banking can become normalized for this industry, something that we've never been fortunate enough to have. And 280E will go away, meaning there's a tax penalty for us. We can't take normal tax deductions as a normal business can, because the federal government considers us, to be breaking federal law and does not allow those deductions. So profitability is hurt because of that penalty. And those are the really big restrictions right now. This won't legalize cannabis, but it will federalize cannabis and open up banking if those 2 bills pass. I think that's the largest one. And then the other big challenge is, this market is maturing very fast, and the ability to grow is constrained by the people that are executing on that vision. And so making sure that you're growing responsibly and having the people that have the expertise in order to grow to that scale is very important. And I think we've done that very well.
Okay, so our next question comes from Christine, asking about the headcount. She's asking, what expectancy for 2020, rough order of magnitude by location?
Of headcount, is that what you said?
Headcount, yeah. She might be a recruiter.
Well, that's a tough one, because there's going to be a lot of locations. And I really can't get into the specifics of that. The scale of what we're doing is not public right now. I can tell you we are growing at an exponential rate this year to next, and setting up our infrastructure is what I'm concentrated right now as you see these acquisitions start to pile up. And maybe I'll pivot on this question a little bit and talk about timing. November 1st, this bill becomes effective, and we can apply to the state and local authorities to approve these transactions, and that can take up to 4 months. So due diligence and the state approvals can put us into early next year before these are complete. But I can tell you it is exponential growth for our company.
Okay, so now we have a last question, and that comes from Henry. Henry's asking, do you see the owners of the companies you're buying staying involved and growing with the Medicine Man?
Yeah, that's the most exciting thing. These are all my friends that I've been working with for 10 years, and they are pioneers in this industry. They are thought leaders, they're visionaries, and they're extremely good at what they do. So having this group of pioneers together working to help pave the way in this industry is going to be fun. And to a person, they want to stay involved in this company. And we all know we can't be the leader of the company, meaning in terms of CEO, but we can all be leaders of the company in terms of driving that forward, and we'll work collaboratively to do that. And I think it's going to be a great competitive advantage for us to have the amount of experience that we're going to have that will just dwarf any other company in the industry.